For millions of years, the Megalodon ruled the oceans with unmatched power. Stretching up to 60 feet long and armed with teeth the size of a human hand, it was a creature built for dominance. No predator hunted it. No creature challenged it. Its mere presence shaped marine life, forcing entire species to evolve strategies to avoid its shadow. But even the greatest ruler eventually meets an enemy capable of shifting the tide of survival. And for the Megalodon, that moment came on a day the oceans would never forget. This is the story of the day the Megalodon faced its greatest enemy. Not another massive predator, but a threat far more cunning, coordinated, and dangerous than brute strength could ever overcome. A kingdom under the waves. For millions of years during the Miocene epoch, the oceans teemed with life. Giant whales roamed in vast migrations, sea turtles the size of cars navigated warm waters, and sharks of many kinds prowled the depths. But over them all ruled one titan, Carcharocles Megalodon. A single bite could crush bones, a tail strike could stun prey. Its hunting range spanned entire oceans, following whale migrations the way storms follow wind. Every creature that swam in these waters felt its influence. But dominance comes with one subtle downside. Sometimes it blinds even the strongest to the slow rise of a new threat. While Megalodon reigned through strength, another species was evolving quickly. Creatures far smaller, but infinitely more coordinated. A new challenger emerges. At first, Megalodon encountered them rarely. Packs of dark, sleek predators that hunted together with surprising strategy. They worked in groups of 5, 10, sometimes 20. They were smaller, much smaller, barely 20 feet long, but they were fast, agile, organized. These were prehistoric killer whales, ancient ancestors of modern orcas, smarter than any predator of the time. Megalodon was used to one-on-one confrontations. It was built for ambush attacks, using its massive weight to surprise and overpower. But the new whales didn't attack alone. They circled, they harassed, they watched, they learned. For years their paths crossed, but never in open confrontation. The young whales observed from a distance. They studied the great shark's movements, its preferred hunting grounds, and even its weaknesses, something no previous rival had ever done. Megalodon had no idea an enemy was preparing for it, not through size or power, but through intelligence and teamwork. And then came the day everything changed. Waters of blood and shadows. It began in a region of warming seas, waters perfect for whale migrations and therefore ideal hunting grounds for Megalodon. A young baleen whale struggled near the surface. The scent of its blood leaked into the currents, traveling like a silent signal across miles of water. Megalodon felt it first. From the depths, the enormous shark angled upward, propelled by slow, powerful strokes. Its instincts sharpened, its timing flawless. This was easy prey. Weak, slow, unguarded, exactly the type of kill it preferred. But Megalodon wasn't the only one who smelled opportunity. A pod of early killer whales, 9 in total, had also caught the scent. Unlike other predators, they didn't rush. They didn't panic. They coordinated. A series of clicks and whistles passed between them, a language of strategy. 2 whales moved to block the whale's escape. 3 spread wide to encircle. 4 waited beneath, ready to strike. And all of them sensed something else moving in the deep. A shadow. Titanic. Ancient. The water pressure dropped for a moment as Megalodon approached, its massive presence bending the currents. The whales felt the shift and paused. For the first time, the greatest predator of the era and the rising hunters of the future faced each other directly. The confrontation was inevitable. The clash of titans begins. Megalodon lunged first. It rarely hesitated. The giant shark tore through the water in a streak charge, jaws widening, ready to sink its teeth into the wounded whale. But the orcas intervened. Two whales flanked its path, emitting bursts of sound so loud they vibrated through the shark's skull. Early tactical use of sonar as a weapon. The vibration disoriented the Megalodon, diverting its attack by mere feet. Shock wasn't something the Megalodon felt often, but now it paused. Its massive eyes swept the water, recognizing the coordinated shapes around it. These creatures weren't fleeing. They were standing together. They were challenging it. In all its life, the Megalodon had never faced prey or competition that worked with pack intelligence. Its instincts told it to attack the nearest threat, so it wielded its massive bulk and struck. The blow sent one whale tumbling, ribs cracking under the impact, but the shark had exposed its flank, and the pod took advantage instantly. 3 whales rammed the shark's gills simultaneously. 2 more struck from below. Megalodon's world exploded in pain. It thrashed violently, creating a storm of bubbles and blood in the water. But the whales moved like a single organism, diving, circling, retreating, striking again. Their intelligence countered its size. Their speed countered its strength. And Megalodon realized something it had never felt before. It was outmatched. The greatest enemy of the ocean's king was not a monster of size, but it was strategy, intelligence, and teamwork. And this battle was only beginning. The ocean churned into chaos as the Megalodon and the ancient killer whale pod clashed in a battle unlike anything the seas had witnessed. The shark, long accustomed to overwhelming power, was now confronted with a type of threat evolution had not prepared it for. Predators that communicated, strategized, and adapted in real time. The water grew darker with silt and blood as the pod repositioned. They knew they couldn't overpower the giant shark in one attack. Instead, they relied on relentless pressure, hitting from angles the Megalodon struggled to track. The shark turned sharply, snapping its enormous jaws at the nearest whale, but the pod member twisted away just in time, feeling the rush of water from the closing bite. Another whale darted at the Megalodon's tail, slamming into the muscular mass with surprising force. The blow didn't injure the shark badly, but it disrupted its movement. A predator as large as the Megalodon required smooth, powerful motions to maintain speed. Every disruption made it slower, and slower was dangerous. The pod was learning. The battle escalated. Megalodon's thick, armored skin began to show wounds, shallow at first, then deeper as the pod coordinated their assaults with increasing precision. Each whale targeted the gills, the most vulnerable part of the shark's anatomy. They were exploiting weak points the way future orcas would eventually learn to do to great white sharks. The Megalodon fought back with terrifying fury. It managed to catch one whale by surprise, clamping its massive jaws around the whale's midsection. The ocean echoed with a deep, anguished cry as blood billowed outward in a red cloud. With one violent shake, the Megalodon ended the whale's life instantly. Its dominance, its brute strength, these were still unmatched. The remaining whales paused. Their podmate's body drifted downward, sinking slowly. They circled it for a moment, emitting low-frequency calls, signals of distress, anger, and something else: determination. The battle was no longer just about the wounded whale that had attracted both predators. Now it was war. And the pod would not retreat. They didn't need to defeat the Megalodon in a single blow. They only needed to exhaust it. A predator meets its limit. For the first time in its life, the Megalodon felt fatigue tightening its muscles. Every turn was slower, every strike less accurate. The pod stayed just out of reach, forcing the shark to expend enormous energy with every attack. The whales, smaller and more agile, burned far less energy with each maneuver. This difference, speed versus size,
was beginning to tilt the battle. The pod split into two groups. One group stayed behind the shark, keeping pressure on its tail and hindering its movement. The other group moved ahead, circling the Megalodon's head and launching short, targeted attacks at its eyes and gills. The shark snapped at them, but each miss only made it more exhausted. And exhaustion, for a predator whose survival relied on explosive power, was deadly. A young whale from the pod darted forward and delivered a powerful strike directly into one of Megalodon's gill slits. The shark convulsed in agony. Its movements became erratic, labored. More blood streamed into the water, clouding the battlefield. The whales could sense it. Its strength was waning. The greatest predator the oceans had ever known was beginning to falter. The final stand.